Alright, so today we're gonna switch it up a little. Whether you're a new viewer or coming back to the channel, one thing you should know about me is that when it comes to Apex, I like to talk and think about the psychology and the strategy behind the fights because they matter just as much as the fighting and the aim and the movement and all of that kind of stuff. And I'm not even trying to be an asshole when I say this, but I feel like some of y'all are just too slow because you spend too much time trying to overanalyze the game instead of just moving in the moment. And even though it's easy to get into a groove with your movement and mechanics and those become a bit more strict and rigid, becoming this way with your strategy and your psychology can lead you to a lot more losses than wins because these fights are dynamic. There's a lot going on in every single fight. Abilities, other teams, it's a battle royale with a lot of different possibilities for every fight. So the plan that you have in the beginning of a fight may start to break down when you get Gibby altered or third partied or something like that. You gotta learn how to adjust and adapt your strategy so you don't get caught trying to stick to a bad plan. Like I always say, there's multiple approaches to every situation on this game, and you can't get stuck being rigid thinking that there's only one way forward. You're not the attack titan, y'all. Come on. Alright, without further ado, I know I've been rambling. Let's get into it. Now, when I talk about creating a fight framework, what I basically mean is creating a set of rules that govern your approach to different fights and situations in the game. So like in a situation like this, one teammate down, the other one low on health, my job here is to hold and anchor and make sure that they're able to reset and effectively get back in the fight so that we can push the other team instead of me doing something stupid and pushing them by myself. This is another situation that makes a point of information being key too. When I first dropped down the elevator, I had no information other than the fact that they were losing a fight to an enemy team. So I quickly found a good position to take cover, evaluate the surroundings, and come up with a plan on how to attack the situation. Now, with me knowing that there are no other teams in the area and knowing how this downstairs place is set up, I know that if I can either hold them off enough for my teammates to reset or make them make the dumb mistake of running out in the open, slash across the bridge and getting shot up, that will put us in a lot better position for the fight. And as you see, that's exactly what happens. And this is one of those situations where knowing how people work on this game works in my favor. I know a lot of times when a team gets a knock, they'll try to focus their hardest on keeping the enemy team from getting the res off. So I knew they were gonna end up doing something stupid and trying to push across some type of way through the wide open space that would make it easy for me to peek out and get easy shots on them as I'm playing a head glitch and obstructive cover. Now the only one left was a ballistic, and while I wasn't banking on him being the 3x Mountain Dew MVP, I know that if I can very quickly wipe a squad with a Wattson, some dude with octane legs, fast hands, and infinite ammo could definitely cause a problem. But considering we had 3 teammates that had shields and health and he had already been shot, there's no way he could turn the tables, right? And that just goes to show, every time you think just because somebody on your team got dropped that the fight is immediately over, that's not always the case, especially if you got somebody like me on your team. Not to toot my own horn or nothing, but it is very easy to pick up and go from a 2v3 to a 2v2 to a 2v1 to a 3v1, and now you're on your way to win the whole rest of the lobby. Win the game, not the lobby. My fault, y'all. I blame the blunt. So on the topic of fight frameworks, you'll notice one of the things that I don't do in a fight ever is push across the open unless I have some type of cover, be that zoning someone with a grenade, my teammates actually shooting their guns, being able to move from cover to cover, and ability. Something has to cover me and make it so that I don't get 1, 2, 3 by an entire team as soon as I poke my head out from cover. So to close off the topic of fight framework, let me give you one of mine. So I'm a Wattson main, right? I play a defensive legend, but I'm a very aggressive player. So one thing I like to do in terms of my fight framework, I play cautiously aggressive. I'll be one of the first ones into a fight, but I'm not just gonna run into a room full of people or run into an area where there's little cover or little escape and just expect for me to end up getting out of there safely. I don't play Wraith, I don't play Octane, I'm not a get out of jail free character. So my fight framework is caution and erring on the side of caution when it comes to being aggressive. If I jump into a situation and I'm able to knock someone, get a kill or something like that, I'm scrambling out of there so I can reset, regroup, and recover and get back in there and do the same thing again. I don't jump into situations expecting me to be able to kamikaze and get out before I end up dying myself. My fight framework is defensive aggression. I'm going to be the first one to attack, but at the same time, if we need to fall back, I'm going to be the first one to do that as well. My fight framework is the error on the side of strategy. I'm not trying to just jump in and get cool, flashy TikTok highlight clips. I'm actually trying to approach fights in ways that are smart and lead to wins in the end. So with this fight, for instance, I run up, see an enemy, and do some entry damage to keep them from pushing me. Now, Apex doesn't have solos for some odd reason, so I know that he likely has teammates that are with him that are going to end up backing him up. Now, I might have overextended a little bit here, but as you can see, I have stairs to the left of me and boxes to the right. So either way, I have cover and and an escape route in case things go bad. At this point, my teammates did actually pull up, and I could see from the mini-map that they could cover that angle right there, that doorway that the gondola just blocked when I dropped down. So I dropped down and I start pushing the catalyst. I used the boxes to get height and to play cover, as well as use misdirection and redirection to confuse the enemy as to where I'm going. This is a very fast-paced game, and sometimes people can't keep up with the movement on this game, so you redirecting their attention to one spot and then quickly move into another spot can give you an advantage in terms of just them being too slow to turn around and shoot you. With fights like this, your movement and positioning is going to play a lot into it, because using boxes, poles, railings, doorways, angles, things like that to confuse your enemy on where you're going and where you're coming from to shoot them is a good way to get an advantage in a fight. This again plays into the fight frameworks we talked about earlier. I guess, and for lack of a better term, you could say one of my other fight frameworks is slippery squirrel. If I get shot, if I'm in a bad position, if I'm extended in a bad spot or whatever, I'm putting my gun away and I'm trying to dip out of the area. I'm not about to be the one sitting in the middle of the open getting firing squatted. That's no fun at all. So I'm gonna take my kills and go. I dump a clip and move around the box, dump another clip, go up on height, dump a last clip, etc., etc. And you see from how I move, just confusing your enemy as to where you are in the first place can allow you to easily, for lack of a better term, dip in and out of fights. You can engage an enemy, they focus on you, you move, your teammate moves to the spot where you were. Now they're still with lower health, focusing on someone who engaged them from the same area that you did with probably more health. That enables you to get out of that particular spot, move around, come back, and get to a better position where you could get more kills, get the same kill, whatever, and not worrying about having to suffer from bad positioning. So this is a little bit of an older clip. I'm playing the edge of a fight here, and as I notice my teammates are getting attacked from the other side, I go in, and honestly speaking, this was not necessarily the best extension, and you'll see I end up paying for it almost. Yeah, so like I have literal 1 health. If that's even 1, that might be 0.01. Mistakes like that can definitely be costly. A better way to play that probably would have been trying to fence him around the corner and using this door angle right here as cover. Peek out, shoot the mastiff, go back in. Peek out, shoot a mastiff, go back in, etc., etc. And that goes into what I was talking about earlier as far as every fight being dynamic and how you can approach them and how you can play them. There's no one-size-fits-all solution for any fight in the game. It's very dynamic, so winning in one way doesn't necessarily mean that another way that was a possible win was a better way, a worse way, or the way you should have gone. If you end up with the win in the end, then it only marginally matters, and things start to break down again. So my initial thought jumping up here was my teammate already did damage, and push come to shove, I know there's not enemies outside that can get a good angle on me, so I can at least play a head glitch and play some height in case I do end up winning this fight and immediately get shot at. And it worked in my favor, as after I won, I jumped down, and this Mirage thought he was about to get away from me, but no, buddy, I used to play him, I know how this works. So after I cook Mirage, because you know, he fucking thought he was about to do something, I have to deal with my least favorite thing, my most hated enemy, my arch nemesis, the worst character in the game, a fucking Fuse. And by that time, Fuse got the res off on his teammate, so now I got 2 annoying ass characters launching bombs at me, and I gotta deal with it. So at this point, I push the other door, I'm playing cover, I kinda use their own teammate for cover, and I get the kill. Now at this point, we still got the rev, and I'm not even gonna lie to y'all, my health was low, but my trust in my teammate was a lot lower, so I wasn't about to leave this to them. Now I'm not no weirdo, I'm gonna give credit where credit is due, so the Gibby bubble right here definitely helped, letting me get up closer and hit a couple more of these shots easier. Now the best option for Rev to do here would have been to kill me, go in that hallway right there, and then shoot Gibby as he tries to run through the hallway and get to him. If he did that, the fight might have worked out in his favor, but he was too focused on me and not taking into account the macro of the situation. I see a lot of people in game fail to take into account the big picture and the overall bigger scope of the lobby, and one thing you always have to remember, the lobby is a lot bigger than just your fight. And your fight is probably going to bring attention that you didn't want in the first place. So you always have to be prepared for things to happen that are out of your control, or at the very least, prepare yourself to be able to react to them when they actually do happen. Getting too tunnel visioned and focusing on the micro, on the small fight, on killing one person in the fight, on pushing across a clearing without getting shot, can often leave you left for dead, as the macros of the environment have a lot more of an effect than the micros. The micros may determine you getting 1 kill in a fight, but the macros determine the scope of the entire fight, as well as you getting 30 third party, you able to make an actual escape, things of that nature. Your fight frameworks, they need to deal with the micro and the macro of the situation. What to do in little situations and minor inconveniences, as well as what to do when big situations pop off, when 2, 3, 4 teams come in. And you just gotta evacuate the whole area so you can regroup and figure out what the next plan of attack is. And before I close out this video, I just want to say this. The concept of a fight framework and creating a fight framework is not something that's exclusive to Apex Legends, nor is it exclusive to first-person shooters or battle royale games or anything like that. This is a concept that I've been using since I was a teenager playing Call of Duty 4 and game battles leagues. This is a concept I've used in RuneScape when I went into the wild and ventured into the duel arena. I don't remember what it's called, so all the RuneScape fans, please don't criticize me. And it's applicable to a lot of different genres in game and otherwise. Creating a fight framework basically means a set of if this then that conditions that you have in your head to determine how you move depending on how different situations play out. And if this is somewhat confusing considering I said fights can be dynamic, think about it like this in another concept of frameworking the mind. Say you get into a car accident. Your mental framework immediately is to assess damage, exchange information, and contact your insurance company, right? Well, the dynamics of the situation can change how you do that, but at the same time, the basics are still there. That is still the requirement for you to pass through the situation. If the other driver is combative or aggressive, then that may change how you approach them or the situation. If the other driver may be an elderly person or someone who has vision problems, that may also change how you approach the situation. But at the end of the day, the concept of getting out of your car, assessing damage, and exchanging information is the same. This is akin to what I mean with a fight framework. When things go a certain type of way, your mind needs to go a certain type of way with it. If things go a certain type of way, that should trigger something in your mind that you need to step back, do this, then that, and evaluate the situation in order to determine what you do next. When it comes down to it, creating a fight framework, at least in Apex Legends, deals a lot with just how you play the game, no matter how your teammates end up getting themselves killed or rushing out in the open. A fight framework will save you from getting firing squatted trying to rush out and help your teammate in a bad position. A fight framework will keep you from pushing a dumb fight or staying in a dumb fight because you know that if you can switch position and reset and regroup, you can probably end up winning. Now, when it comes to fighting strategy, a fight framework isn't necessarily something that's necessary, but it will take a lot of the mental strain and guesswork out of trying to figure out how to react to situations, especially in a game as dynamic and diverse as Apex Legends. But as I said before, this can be applied to many different types of games and genres. RuneScape, Fortnite, Call of Duty, Elder Scrolls Online, any of those types of games. Pretty much any competitive type of game or any game where you're competing against other people. Hell, even Dead by Daylight. You can create a fight framework and use that in order to make your fights and your situations in said game go better. So with that being said, y'all are probably tired of hearing my voice by now, so I'm gonna let y'all go. But just keep in mind, knowing how to approach your fight before you even get into a fight saves you from having to do a lot of mental guesswork trying to figure out how to win the fight in the end. So yeah, if you feel like this would be any help to you, or you may just like my content, feel free to stick around and engage, and well, you know what those terms really mean. But yeah, feel free, and see y'all in the next vid. Oh yeah, Wattson Fence Guide on the way soon.